watchOS 10 is just around the corner and you may not want to upgrade to it, and we're going to be talking about reasons why in this video. But before we do, we're going to talk about the main differences between watchOS 10 here on the Ultra and watchOS 9 on the Series 7. Most of you have seen the new widget system. So whether you scroll up the crown or scroll up on the bottom of the watch, now it gives you this widget system, which is really nice. Before you get the control center, you can still access that on watchOS 10. It's just a little bit different, and it's kind of made a bunch of changes just to make this work. So these widgets are really nice to have. You can get information. You don't have to use a complication spot for this, and you can kind of just fill this up with as much stuff or as little stuff as you want to. To get to the control center on watchOS 10, you now hit that side button and that gets you there. Another nice little thing that they did is, I know at least on the theater, so if I tap it here, it just kind of turns on. If you tap it on this one, it has like a little animation where they kind of go back and forth. Same thing happens when you turn it off, where on watchOS 9, you don't really get any kind of fun little animation there. Not really sure if it's worth it, but it is there. Before with the side button, if you pressed it once, it gave you access to either your favorites or your recent apps that you've opened. You had the control to change this on the phone app. You don't have that access anymore since the control center is what the side button is, but to get to that same recents view is if you double tap the crown, now I can get to my recents. So it's just a new way to get to those recently opened apps. You can kind of scroll through them. Most of that's kind of the same. It's a little different. The order, they start off at the bottom. This one kind of usually starts off at the top. Another little thing that you might have to try to get used to if you use the recents view. The wallet. So in the past, you double tap and you get to the wallet. I feel like this animation works so much better. So you can still double tap, but it shows the control center and then takes you to the wallet because it's ready to go to that control center more than anything else. And I think that animation just doesn't go as smoothly as it did in watchOS 10, but it's just one of those changes. Maybe it gets improved a little bit more, but as of right now, that's just how it is. Another thing that a lot of people seem to like the change more than I expected, because me personally, I'm not a big fan, is changing watch faces. I do it all the time. Some people never do. But before, you could just swipe and you could just go in between your watch faces. And it was really simple. Now you can't swipe anymore. So you have to kind of hold down, and then that gets you to that option to change the watch face. So there is a way, like if you kind of hold down and then swipe, you can kind of get past it. But for the most part, you just kind of get used to that new, like you're not going to be able to switch watch faces all that easily. And then of course, the app layout changes. If you use the list view, not much has changed here. You can kind of see they're about the same. The animation's pretty close there. But if you want to use the grid view, there's a pretty big change here. So in the past, it was kind of just freeform. You can organize these all however you want. Now you just have a list of the grid. So you just scroll up or down, and that's pretty much the only option you have. It kind of moves side to side, but it's mainly just for animation purposes. It's just an up and down scroll. But you can still organize the apps, you know, it always starts at the top, so you can put the apps that you don't really care about at the bottom. Where this, people would do all different kinds of designs and everything like that because you can fully zoom out. That doesn't work anymore. The crown just kind of scrolls through the list. So if I were to open up the App Store on all these, there's a little bit of changes to the app itself. They kind of redesigned it just a little bit. What I really want to show you is if I close the app, it takes me back to the grid view on this side. But if I close the app on this side, it always goes back to that watch face. That could be nice if that's what you're wanting to, but if you're wanting to go to another app, you just can't do that anymore. Same thing with at the watch face, you could actually quick switch between apps. So if I double press, I can go back to the App Store and then double press again, and it will take me back to my Messages app. That doesn't work. So double pressing just takes you straight to that recent apps, and you just have to go back and forth that way. Now, one thing that they have changed that I really do enjoy, so if I was to go into the control center on both of these, and let's say I want to put it in waterlock mode. Oh, that's not waterlock. There's waterlock. So now both of these are technically in water lock mode. And the only way to get out of those is to press and hold the crown. So they've sped it up in watchOS 10 a lot. So if I come in here and I press and hold the crown, you will notice watchOS 10 gets out of it way faster. Same thing happens with the sleep mode. So right now, both of these watches are in sleep mode, but if I press and hold the crown, the watchOS 10 gets out of there way faster than the watchOS 9 ever did. And then of course, there's the apps themselves. So if we go into the activity app, you can see the main screen is pretty much the same, but if I scroll this up, there's a lot more color, and they kind of adopted this pages layout for these 3 items. So the information's a little bit harder to get to. You gotta just go through more screens, but there's just a lot more color when it comes to these watch apps with watchOS 10. Another app that we can take a look at is the weather app. And you can see, like, I mean, it's night and day. You got clouds, you got a screen that's all fully colored. And on this one, you just have, and now this is a whole new screen for this, but even if I go to this kind of same screen for both watches, there's just a lot more color, but the information is still the same. And in my opinion, it's a little bit harder to read on the new one than the old one. But what's it matter? Like, I mean, yay, more color, it looks brighter, it looks newer. Well, the big problem is on these older watches, you know, your battery life has already been decreasing. And all this color, because these are OLED screens, so anytime there's black, it's using like no power to power that part of the screen. Where on screens like this, where there's color everywhere, it's going to be using more power. So the battery life on these old watches is going to be hurting. I'm guessing with the new watches coming out, they're probably going to have some better battery life, more efficiency, more this and that. So that's the big warning. If you're somebody that needs the battery life to be great on your watch and you're enjoying it in watchOS 9, because all these apps, even the third-party ones, are going to adopt this just because that's what Apple does. And it's best just to follow in Apple's ways. I know apps, you're just kind of in and out pretty quick for the most part, but during those in the past, they just used a little bit less power, and now they're most likely going to be using more. So on your older watches, it's just something to be concerned about. So if you like this video, please feel free to hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe. If you want to watch another video on watchOS 10, I got one right here for you. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. God bless.